Since there have been faces on the internet, there have been face reveals. Creators for the very first time showing their audience who the person behind the scenes is and what they look like. At this point, it seems like most channels on YouTube have a face attached, but these are all people that have consented to letting their viewers know what they look like. Not all creators feel comfortable doing that. But there have been times in the past where faceless creators have accidentally let their identities slip. So what happens when your face reveal leaks? Well, in this video, I have 6 stories to tell you, all showcasing the good, the bad, and the ugly of when your face reveal gets exposed. Especially the bad and the ugly, there is very little good. So let us begin with a story that the vast majority of you guys probably already know. It's perhaps the most famous instance of a face reveal leak. Let's begin with Dream. In case you don't know Dream, he's a Minecrafter of gargantuan fame, with 33 million subscribers and more than 3.5 billion channel views. He's likely most well known for either the Dream SMP, which was an unfolding Minecraft narrative which captured the attention of millions during COVID, or his Minecraft Manhunt series, where his friends were tasked with tracking him down and killing him once in Minecraft before he could beat the game. Whatever you think of Dream, there's no denying that he's good at Minecraft and at creating YouTube videos that not only showcase his skills, but also have suspense, twists, and drama in spades. For that reason, he was able to blow himself up in the early 2020s despite never showing his face. His content spoke for itself. But when Dream's Manhunt started blowing up, all of his fans had just one question on their mind. Just who was the man behind the mask? In the modern online landscape, having a creator as large as Dream still be faceless is quite rare. If you're faceless, it generally restricts what you're allowed to do with your brand. For Dream though, it didn't really matter because he started during COVID, so it wasn't like he could attend cons back in 2020 or 2021 anyway. From an audience perspective though, they almost always want to find out what their favorite creators look like. And for some people, the curiosity got too much. Add that to the fact that Dream was weirdly thirsted after. For some reason, people were convinced that Dream was some sort of Greek god Adonis based on his voice, height, personality, and physical description. I don't know about you, but I remember a time on the internet where the curiosity about what Dream looked like was completely unparalleled. People were half expecting him to look like Hercules or something. Keep in mind, this man is famous for playing Minecraft. Very few people on this earth would be able to live up to the expectations they placed on him. And eventually, some people crossed the line. An image of Dream was posted to the internet. One that, if you're aware of this story, you might have already seen. It's one that plagued Dream for years afterwards. This is the image. To address the elephant in the room, yeah, this guy isn't exactly the hunk that the internet thought he was. I'm not going to rag on him or add to the dog pile, even though at this point it's mostly settled, because I do feel bad. At the end of the day, he looks happy in that photo, so it does break my heart that this was a massive point of mockery and ridicule. And do keep in mind that there is nothing inherently wrong with Dream not being the most attractive person in the world. And it's not like he was the one telling people to draw his fan art as ripped, sexy, and incredibly attractive. But Twitter didn't see it that way, and after the leak, a lot of them were ripping into him. Others though weren't entirely convinced that this was Dream. This image came out of a massive dox, and within this dox, apparently some of the information was incorrect. Maybe it was just denial, but some people didn't believe it. Flash forward to October 2022, and Dream would face reveal on his own accord. The internet held their breath as they learned for the first time what Dream looked like behind the mask. And this face reveal was also clowned on. To be honest, I feel as though no matter what he looked like, people would make jokes. In this case though, it really didn't help that he set himself up on a weird angle to showcase his jawline. But all of that aside, his face reveal all but confirmed the fact that the old picture of Dream, the one where he was at the sports game, was real. Putting the images side by side, even though they are drastically different, people noticed that there were certain features in the facial structure that were the same. Flash forward to when Dream released The Truth, a video in which he'd discuss all of his controversies, where he would break his silence on the situation, saying this.
Now, of course, there was a lot of personal information attached to the leaked picture, how it was found, where it was leaked from, so that definitely contributed to why I lied about it. I didn't lie because I was ugly or because I was overweight or anything like that. And every time I talked about the leaked picture, I always mentioned that I struggled with my weight in the past, and that it's disheartening to see people make fun of the poor kid for that, which obviously I was the poor kid. Even though I was very adamant about denying the face leak, it was much more about the fact that there was so much personal information attached to the picture, and I wanted as much separation from it as possible. It had nothing to do with how I look. I'm very proud of my weight loss story, and I was never ashamed about it at all. I think that it's very encouraging to see people accomplish weight loss. I did it all naturally. I lost hundreds of pounds. You have not seen me at my heaviest, and it's one of those things that I think is very encouraging to others. I love inspiring people, so it's a story I'm sure I'll tell in the future. But in that moment, it was not the right time to tell it. I feel like right now it's still kind of uncomfortable to talk about it, but it's annoying seeing the same damn picture. So here's some other pictures of me from before I lost weight, just so there's more variety.
If you want my take on it, I do feel bad for Dream, and it does break my heart that people get harassed and ridiculed and bullied for being overweight. Dream was never going to live up to the expectations that they set for him, regardless of what he looked like. And I think a similar situation is where there's a movie adaptation of a book, and the readers of this book will imagine in their mind what a character looks like, and when that character is cast and it doesn't match what they've got, the mental image of what they have of that character, they just reject it. And I think that was proven even more true when people saw his actual face now and decided to go and call him ugly. Dream isn't a supermodel or anything, but he's definitely not ugly. But this sort of thing isn't exclusive to Dream. In the past, there have been several faceless creators that have had their face reveals leak, ranging from VTubers to animation YouTubers. And there is a shocking amount of crossover between Dream's leak and the leak of the next person that we're going to discuss. It's the only leaked face reveal that's even close to the infamy of Dreams. Of course, it's Corpse. So let's talk about one of the most infamous face reveal disasters in internet history, the CorpseHusband leak. In case any of you don't know who CorpseHusband is, allow me to set the stage. CorpseHusband started gaining popularity in the late 2010s as this mysterious YouTuber with a voice so deep it makes Barry White sound like Tiny Tim. He got his start narrating creepy internet stories, known as creepypastas. But then, in 2020, Among Us blew up, and Corpse jumped on it, collaborating with many of the internet's largest streamers who immediately became blown away by his unique voice.
Hello, friend.
Wow.
What?
Kixakuno.
Wait, what?
I don't know, I guess since I haven't done a face reveal, so.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Suddenly, CorpseHusband wasn't just a faceless creator, he was one of the most recognizable voices on the entire internet. And for his fans, the mystery of who he was became part of the fun. This dude had millions of fans obsessed with two things. The first was that he had an ungodly deep voice. The second was that nobody knew what he looked like. And because the internet is the internet, the mystery only fueled further speculation. Maybe this is just a conspiracy theory on my part and I'm an old man yelling at cloud, but I feel like because the way our society is these days, because instant gratification is just at our fingertips, people really don't respect a mystery anymore, even if the mystery is what keeps them interested in the first place. If you're only watching him because you think he's mysterious, the second you find out who he is, the mystery's over. But unfortunately, that wouldn't stop internet detectives from taking on a new case. But here's the thing, Corpse never wanted to do a face reveal. In fact, he was pretty open about having chronic illnesses, anxiety, and not wanting to deal with that level of exposure. So his facelessness wasn't a marketing gimmick that some people thought it was just him protecting himself, which makes what happened next all the more despicable. In September 2021, pictures started circulating online, supposedly of Corpse's real face. These weren't posted by him, they were leaked without his consent. And because Twitter is the online equivalent of a school cafeteria, the entire situation blew up. People were spreading the images around, laughing at him, and debating if it was really him. Some fans were defending him, whereas others Let's say to some people he received the dream treatment. Instead of treating him like, a human being, a lot of people started to body shame him. Just like Dream, because these leaked pictures didn't live up to some sort of insane fantasy they had, they turned on him. People were making TikToks, memes, and threads ripping on the guy purely based upon how he looked. Imagine if you were potentially a little bit self-conscious about how you looked, so you kept it private for years, and eventually, without your input, it gets leaked. And then half the internet is dunking on you because you're not living up to their delusional fanfiction. I mean, this is still one of the biggest examples of how some sort of weird parasocial relationships can truly bite a creator in the ass. And we still have plenty more of these where that came from. Fans built up this perfect idea of Corpse that couldn't be lived up to in reality. The mysterious, sexy, faceless man with the velvet smooth demon voice. And when reality didn't line up, they lashed out. But here's the kicker in all of this. His core fan base didn't actually care. If you were only watching his content because his voice made you act a certain way, then you weren't really a fan, were you? A true fan wouldn't be as fickle as to drop you the second they found out that you're not some sort of demigod. Corpse himself didn't make some big dramatic statement about it, but he's implied in streams and tweets ever since that the whole situation sucked, and he's distanced himself from content creation ever since. It's not like he posted much on Instagram before, but his final post was in March 2021, conveniently a few months before the leak. And honestly, it's not hard to see why he walked away. It's one of those things, if a creator hasn't revealed their name or face, it's safe to assume that there's a reason why. It's nobody else's business. But when parasocial dweebs think that they're entitled to know everything about their favorite creators, we get situations like this. CorpseHusband's face reveal wasn't really a reveal at all. It was an unconsented leak, and he was given a stark reminder of why he didn't want to show his face in the first place. And coming up next is another creator that really didn't want their face to be shown. It's JaidenAnimations. This video really wouldn't be complete without me mentioning Jaiden. Her face reveal controversy is definitely one of the largest there's ever been. But here's the thing, if you're a fan of the channel, then you might know that I spoke about this controversy very recently. The thing is, I have literally nothing more to add in this segment than I did back then. I spoke about it literally a couple of days ago. In fact, I spoke about her in my previous upload, because the story of her face reveal is actually where I got the idea for this video. And I know that not everyone who's watching this has already seen my video on YouTube animation controversies, which, by the way, you should definitely check it out. It's going to be linked in the description because this is a fantastic video. So for that reason, and for the sake of completion, I'm just going to roll the clip of everything I had to say there again. If you've already seen this, then feel free to skip ahead to the timestamp on screen. For everybody else, this is the story. Back in the mid-2010s, YouTube animation was really starting to kick off, and several recognizable names would make their debuts on the platform, including the likes of The Odd Ones Out, Tim Tom, Erod Story, and JaidenAnimations. And one common denominator between all of these guys, and many other YouTube animators, is that initially they don't always like to show their face. Here's a small tip to any aspiring YouTubers that are watching this video. Audience members, for the most part, like to know what their favourite creators look like, because it helps them forge a connection with them. For most genres of content, you're generally expected to be on camera, but for storytime animators, it works a little bit differently. You see, for them, having a face reveal is more seen as optional than mandatory, and that's because they already have a face of the channel. That's going to be their character. For that reason, many of them just never face reveal. Now, there are countless reasons behind why someone would feel uncomfortable to have their face on camera, but I think that in general, if someone chooses not to have their face out there, then that needs to be respected. And using the case of JaidenAnimations' face reveal as an example, I think that the vast majority of people, or at the very least the vast majority of JaidenAnimation fans, agree with me. So if you don't know this story, Jaiden was one such animator that, at first, didn't have her face out there. If you've been a long-time fan of hers, then you might know that especially early on in her days on YouTube, she struggled quite heavily with her body image. I've discussed her song Empty in collaboration with Boy in a Band several times on the channel by this point, but long story short, she had an eating disorder and severe issues with her appearance. She would discuss these issues within her video Why I Don't Have a Face Reveal, released in April 2017. and it was within that video that she'd tell an unsettling story from VidCon 2016. If you don't know VidCon, it's probably the largest convention for YouTube and content creation. Back in 2016, Jaiden agreed to attend, but there was one small problem. She hadn't face revealed yet. On top of that, according to Jaiden, at this point in her life, her satisfaction with her body was at an all-time low. For months, she had been starving herself and treating herself worse than poorly. But she told everyone that she was going to attend, and she felt an obligation to stay true to her word. So, according to Jaiden, she put on a brave face and went. This is how she described it in her video.
I didn't want to let people down by breaking my promise to be there, and I wanted to see all my friends and supporters, but I was in such a terrible state. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was panicking, I wasn't ready, I wasn't back to normal yet, but I was approaching so quickly and there wasn't any time to go back. I told myself this was my punishment. I did this to myself. So I put on a mask and pretended to be fine.
But then, something happened that would lead to a decade of controversy. Obviously, with VidCon being a creator event, a lot of people that go there want to make content out of it. And especially in the mid-2010s when the genre was at its high, some people would vlog. But with this came a problem, because Jaiden soon realised that her face was going to be in the vlog of a YouTuber that she attended the con with, and according to her, she pled with him to have her face edited out.
I messaged the person who was taking a lot of video footage and asked them if I could censor my face out. I'm not going to mention who this person is because that detail doesn't add anything to this story, and I don't think it would benefit anyone if I did.
She even offered to edit it for this creator, and he agreed. However, upon receiving the edited footage, he decided to release the uncensored, original version. Flash forward to Jaiden's video. While he was unnamed in it, upon hearing a description of this unnamed YouTuber, fans were quick to piece the clues together and soon realised that the content creator she was talking about was another YouTube animator known as Alex Clark. Now, here's where things get interesting, because upon the internet agreeing that it was Alex Clark that Jaiden was talking about, he was essentially shunned by many of her fans and many fans of the storytime animation genre. In theory, this should be the kind of controversy that would eventually blow over. You would expect him to be plagued by it for maybe a few weeks or maybe a month or two, but according to Alex, he has been dogged by hate by JaidenAnimation fans for several years now. Years on from when this controversy first began. 6 years since JaidenAnimation's video about it, Alex Clark would finally make a response in a video titled VidCon 2016 Explained. Within this video, he would finally reveal his side of the story, and made the claim that he didn't know the severity of Jaiden's situation. He made the point that he wasn't the first person to include Jaiden's face in his content, and claimed that he thought that he and Jaiden were friends prior to Jaiden's video.
There are claims that I doxed Jaiden by being the first big YouTuber to post her face. This is false. As an example, at the time I had 200,000 subscribers, and a week before my video went live, a channel with 1 million subscribers posted a video that featured Jaiden. As far as I know, the only channel Jaiden had issues with was me. If you'd like more details, I'll put an explanation on the screen which you can read.
Alex's response was received very poorly, only receiving 4.7 thousand likes compared to 12,000 dislikes. It's now been 2.5 years since Alex's response, and some of you watching this might be thinking that I'm just reopening old wounds. Because that should be the end of it, right? Well, I thought so too. Until I looked in the comment section and saw that Alex Clark has been responding to criticisms ever since this video came out, even as recently as 1 month ago. This isn't something that Jaiden's fans have forgotten, and it's not something that Alex has either. So I'm going to stick with the topic of accidental face reveals for female content creators with our next few stories. In particular, we have 2 accidental VTube face reveals. I feel like I've been discussing VTubers a lot on the channel recently, but in case you don't know VTubers, they're motion-controlled avatars. These creators are often very serious about staying anonymous. But what happens when their motion tracking software fails? Well, a VTuber known as NoraCat found out the hard way. I'm going to try and keep this one brief because this is yet another story that I've discussed in the past. Though this time, I think the video where I mentioned this was made like a year or 2 ago. It was featured in my video about VTuber controversies. And yes, this does count as a controversy. and you'll very soon see why. So this is NoraCat.
このキャラクターを創作して物語を考えているのは野良猫 P という個人です。
She's a VTuber that debuted in 2017 and is currently on 86,000 subscribers on YouTube, so she has a fairly decently sized audience. According to her VTuber wiki, she grew from 10,000 to 50,000 subs in January 2018, so she did have a period of insane growth. That rapid growth was suddenly halted, however, after a glitch on her VTuber model exposed the person behind NoraCat. As it turned out, NoraCat was a man, to the shock, surprise, and disgust of many of her fans. The clip instantly went round the internet, and everyone had a hard laugh at NoraCat's expense. NoraCat would come out with a response, but to be honest, this was fairly cut and dry. Anyone that really cared about NoraCat's gender, anyone who saw the character as their personal VTubing waifu, just wasn't gonna watch anymore. And anyone who didn't care probably would. To this very day, NoraCat is arguably the highest profile VTuber catfish, if you want to call it that, of all time. But despite all of the controversy, NoraCat still streams to this very day. But before we move on, I'd just like to say that if you're enjoying this right now and you haven't already, then please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It tells me that you like this kind of content, so it makes me more likely to do it in the future, and it would really help me out as an independent content creator. I think that the topic of this video is really fun, and I hope you do as well. So if this video gets 5,000 likes, then we'll do a part 2. But if we're going to do a part 2, I might need a few more examples, so let me know down in the comments section if there's anyone who's had their face reveal leak that you know about that I haven't mentioned in this video. I read all of my comments, so I'll be sure to check it out and give you a shout out if I use your suggestion. With that said, we're going to pick up right where we left off with VTubers. I felt as though this video had to include at least more than one, and I'm telling you guys right now, I really hope my enthusiasm for this next one comes across in the video. This is, spoiler alert, my favorite story of the entire video. What happens when your previously hidden face gets exposed to the world by one of the internet's largest streamers? Well, a content creator known as Numi knows firsthand. It's TwitchCon 2022, and attending the con is none other than Hassan Piker, a huge political streamer, who I'm sure the overwhelming majority of you guys will at least be familiar with. As was the same with JaidenAnimations face reveal, this all happened because Hassan wanted to shoot some IRL content, and at the con, he would stream. The stream was edited into a video titled Hassan Abi Meets His Biggest Fan. At the end of the 4-minute video, he runs into Numi. And as accidental face reveals go, this is one of the most insane on the internet. I could give you 1,000 guesses of how this went down, and I promise you, you would not get it if you didn't know. So let me show you a clip of why I think this is one of the most crazy accidental face reveals of all time.
She's a VTuber with a leash.
Oh, really?
Here,
Yeah.
You want me to hold it?
Yes, please.
Here, you take it. You take the photo.
Wow,
There you go.
Do the hands too, Hassan.
I'm not supposed I'm a dog, dude.
But your thing is like a dog too, isn't it? Okay, wait. Okay. Thank you so much.
Brother, having your accidental face reveal be at TwitchCon, engaging in some sort of puppy play is insane. I'm sure Numi is a fantastic content creator. I don't want to annoy her fans. I have absolutely nothing against her. I think even she knows that this is wild, but the fact of the matter is, the very first time the internet sees her face, she's hooked up to her own dog collar. I mean, let me just say this. Okay, let me just say this. To each their own, I'm not judging, but it is wild. I don't think that she knew they were recording, nor that they would add that part into the vlog, but at least for Hassan, it's a good thing that he did because her face reveal is all over the comments. Every single one of them is about Numi. She would of course then realize that the cat was out of the bag, so she released a selfie onto Twitter. This is how she described the turn of events on stream.
A lot of people were like, that was you? Yes, everybody, this was my accidental face reveal. I'm not even surprised, honestly. It caused a ruckus within his community. Rightfully so. I would have been on everybody else's side being against me. Nowadays, they're laughing at it. We're all laughing at it, but I'm not. Only I would have some shit like this happen. God fucking damn it, 5,000 likes. I hate it here, bro. It is a very Numi way for me to get revealed. And then fucking Bao's dumbass. Look at her. The way she makes fun of me for barking and gets called out for this. Keep it up, Hassan fans. I look a little too happy to be here. Oh god, look at that fucking thumbnail, dude. I never wanted to look at this. Getting over your past demons is just very important for moving on. You know, you gotta move on.
This is definitely not one of the worst ones to have in terms of how this impacted her life, but having a face reveal where you're hooked up to your own dog leash is crazy. That is a crazy way to introduce yourself to the world. So of course, it was the perfect fit for this video. For someone whose life was negatively impacted by an accidental face reveal, then we need to look no further than one of the most infamous content creators of the mid-2010s, GradeAUnderA. I'm sure that a lot of you guys will already know who GradeAUnderA is. His reputation precedes him. But just in case you don't, he was a stick figure animation / commentary channel that was extremely popular in the mid-2010s. His content usually focused on dumb things that he noticed in society, and while his animation, if you want to call it that, was very basic, that was part of the charm. If I'm not mistaken, he was the one to take the MS Paint stick figure animation style and put it into the mainstream. But what a lot of people watching this might not know, or might have forgotten, is that he had an accidental face reveal which had an extremely negative impact on his channel, and might be the reason why these days he literally uploads like 1 or 2 videos a year. This face reveal might have been the beginning of the end for the GradeAUnderA channel.
Hello? Excuse me? Wrong fucking mic?
So I'm playing this because firstly, it's been almost a decade. This isn't new information, nor is it hard to find if you can spell GradeAUnderA and face reveal, but Grade had accidentally leaked his face to the web. Shortly after this, he revealed his name, and people learned that this was Grade. But what Grade probably didn't count on was his fans being quite parasocial towards him once they learned his identity. People would scour the web trying to find out more information on him. I came across several Reddit threads at the time of people asking what his name was, as if it matters. Grade would go on a hiatus in early 2017, which coincidentally was around the time he had his face leak. He said that he left because of burnout, which was backed up by an alleged email that he sent to a fan discussing his absence. This isn't confirmed to be Grade officially, but it's highly rumoured. Within this email, he revealed that people had been invading his privacy and trying to get into contact with him through eBay and Facebook friends. Maybe his identity would have gotten out there anyway without the face leak, but this definitely sealed the deal. In one of his videos, he said that he had been dealing with a stalker situation, so his face leaking probably did have an impact. Also, do keep in mind that on several different occasions, Grade clarified that his actual job was not being a YouTuber, he was actually a teacher. He did YouTube for a hobby, teaching was his passion, and given the topics that he discussed on the channel, given the language that he was using, it's not a far stretch to say that he realized once his face had leaked that this was going to have a very negative impact on his teaching career. Whether or not it did, I don't know. Grade, as he was leaving, said that he wanted more privacy, so discussing his personal life was just not happening anymore. That said, Grade still posts to this very day, albeit nowhere near as frequently as he once did. He'll come back every now and then and drop batches of content, and then he'll just be gone again for the next year or so. Between batches, he's generally quite silent, so you never truly know if and when he's coming back. Maybe his channel was always going to end around this time, but his leaked face reveal probably didn't help too much. And once more, this was another instance of parasocial fans ruining things for everyone. But to be honest, none of these stories were as disastrous as a different leaked face reveal that I covered in a previous video. If you like a good old-fashioned mask off, allow me to introduce you to my video on when a Nazi VTuber had their mask slip. If you haven't seen this video before, trust me, you will want to see it. I usually describe what happens in these videos to convince you to watch them, but for this one, I can't, because the twists in the story are insane. But let me just say that Kiwi Farms discovered her identity, and everything wasn't as it seemed. Click on the screen right now to check it out. Aside from that, I'd like to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.